That sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, very
What do you
clear.
think?
Are you sure? Does that sound okay?
It sounds perfect. I love it.
To me it does. Are you
right.
good with it?
Yeah, that's all right.
You barely even sound Essex. Are you really from Essex?
No, I'm not from Essex.
Where are you from?
Do I know. Do I have to be from Essex
No.
to do
Yeah,
this?
but you live in Essex.
I
Where are
do.
you from?
Manchester originally.
It doesn't sound very Manchester either.
No, but I've been down south a long time. So
Have
when I
you?
go back there, they think I'm very Essex.
Your kids sound Essex, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, geezers. They're being brought up right, dropping their teas and stuff. Yeah, living that South End life.
Yeah.
No water.
Yeah.
It's water.
Give me a bottle of water. That's what Loki says, my kid.
Water.
Mate, give me a bottle of water. It's like, how many letters are in that? Bottle of water. Okay, so Maddy is here. Oh, I should do the intro. I should do the intro. Come on, Sangeeta, do the intro.
Because you do it so well.
Come on, Sangeeta, do the intro. Welcome to Are You Creative? That was well, Mr. Radio Voice, wasn't it? That was good. Welcome to Are You Creative? We're here from City Sound in Chelmsford, the home of the birthplace of radio. Thank you, Eduardo Macaroni, for inventing radio. Oh my God, how boring would our lives be without radio? And there would be no podcasts either. So we are here. We're going to learn all about creativity. We've got another amazing guest and me and Sangeeta in the studio. And we're going to have some funky music and then we're going to find out who it is. Go! You know how it goes, Maddy. You've heard the podcast.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it probably with Farron when I go. Are You Creative Podcast with Nick Kern. I'm here, so-called creative expert. I'm a creative director. I know all about creative, I think, but Sangeeta doesn't, do you?
I'm Sangeeta and I'm a director for New Generation Development Agency and I'm learning about the different realms of creativity.
Cool. I thought you were going to do your full CV then. I was a bit worried. It felt like you were going to go. It felt like you were going to go on. Felt like you were going to go on. Yeah, okay. We've got the whole history. So you're learning about creative. I think it's brilliant. We've got all these different creative people on every week, and every week you're getting a little bit more creative, learning more. Have you been talking to people about these podcasts?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Have you? You've been like, oh, you won't believe who I met this week.
I've actually, it's not just speaking about them, it's actually me converting to the thinking and then following them and watching their journeys, because half of these people I didn't even realise were creatives.
Yeah, I can see you've got a bit more of a creative aura around you.
You see,
Powerful.
it's getting there.
Powerful.
It's getting there.
Yeah, I love it. Like, honestly, you're going to be shooting lightning out your hands soon.
I will.
So, yeah, we are here, as I said, in the City Sound in the birthplace of radio. And we've got another brilliant guest today. It is Maddy Moore. Your name is Maddy Moore, isn't it?
It is. Hello.
It's Maddy Moore.
Hello.
And Maddy Moore,
Yes.
are you creative?
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Maddy Moore is creative. Now, what we're going to do here is Sangeeta's going to actually guess what Maddy does. Maybe we'll do a description of what Maddy looks like and then we'll guess.
Okay, so I'm looking at Maddy.
Yes.
And I'm thinking,
Yes.
this is going to sound maybe very old school, but I'm thinking actress, but in a kind of country program.
Country? How do you mean country?
Yeah.
Country and
like
Western?
a little house on the prairie kind of.
Okay, so like retro.
Baking cakes, retro, baking cakes,
Yeah.
that kind of creative. I don't know.
I think
Totally wrong.
Maddy's probably the most stylish guest we've ever had.
Ah.
Right? If you look at her.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The way you dress, very retro, but that's what's making me think either
Actress.
an actress.
Now, we had an actor 2 episodes ago. I would have failed on booking if I booked another actor.
Oh, this is
think.
hard, Maddy.
Yeah.
It's not your
Okay.
appearance isn't giving much away. So go
No.
on, hit me with it.
Well, let's find out what Maddy does.
So I'm a knitter, a maker, probably call myself a designer.
So Maddy, your online name or your general name for what you do is the Sweater Girl.
That's right, yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Be careful when you're Googling. It's not the Sweaty Girl. It's... it might come up. So I haven't even Googled that. It might be coming up with something else. It's the Sweater Girl Knits, right? And you're like a retro knitter.
I am, yes.
Okay,
So-
so let's go with retro knitter. What is one of those?
So I have my own small brand, which is the Sweater Girl, and I do mostly 30s and 40s knitwear, which I make and sell.
And these pieces are amazing. Really, they're really, really top they get used in some pretty amazing places.
Wow.
I think some of these knits have been in movies and TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Go on then.
So I have also been asked to knit for a few films and TV shows, which has been absolutely amazing.
We can drop some names. So we are going to talk about, guys. Look, I'm looking Jaden and Georgie in the eye here. Peaky Blinders.
No way.
Impressed?
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Sangeeta.
I love Peaky Blinders.
Wonka.
No way. One of my favourite
really?
programs. Oh, God, I grew up on that. No, really.
Yeah.
You knitted their jumpers in those.
I did have a couple of pieces in the new Wonka movie, yes.
Timothy didn't wear one.
No, I didn't.
Which
do
character
his.
was wearing your knits?
Oh, I don't actually know her character name. That's pretty bad, isn't it? But
On the poster, though.
yes, she's
Main character. Well, not
she
main
one of the
character.
little
One of.
girls?
she's one of the main characters. Yeah, she's the girl.
And she's wearing like sweater girl drip. Like fashion. Like you're like. she's-
Bazooka, there was someone... I'm trying to think of it. It's
Bazooka?
gone. No.
you're getting that confused with the A-team. Veruca Salt. You're
That's
thinking
it,
of
Veruca.
Yeah, you're thinking about the old advert Bazooka, that Veruca, aren't you? Yeah. So that is amazing. Like when you see it on the poster, they're wearing what you've knitted.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely amazing. And I think the thing that amazes me is that the costumes in these films are so incredible. To think that I've actually made something that is in the film is just, I think that's what really sort of surprises me about it.
And how do they find you? They must have come to you and be like, you do the style that we want for this character.
Yeah, so first, because I sell my own sweaters for my own brand, I sell on Etsy and then through my own Instagram. So they find me on Etsy.
So what's your Etsy?
Yeah, I'm the sweater girl on Etsy.
Etsy.com/the sweater girl.
Yes.
Yes, and you can buy your pieces there as well.
Yeah, so I sell through there and then I sell on my own Instagram. And I've been contacted through Etsy a couple of times for films and for Peaky Blinders. And then other times it's word of mouth as well. So.
That's incredible. So when they come to you, do they know who they've cast in the role? They'll give you exact measurements and...
So it's always different. A lot of the time they come and ask me if I'm available and I have no idea what it's for, who it's for, and I sort of have to say, yes, I'm available, or no, I'm not. And then when I was actually contacted for Peaky Blinders the first time, I wasn't available. So I was like, I didn't know it was for Peaky Blinders. So I had to say, sorry, can't do it.
Yeah, but you don't know. It could be Country File or something like that, right? And you're going to be like, you're gonna be like, oh, yes. And then it turns out you're knitting for John Craven for 6 months.
So then they mentioned it was Peaky Blinders,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh no. So then I sort of wrote back and said, oh, I'd love to do it, but I'm available in the new year. And then it sort of came back a few months later, and I got to do a few pieces for it, which I think for me, Peaky Blinders is probably the most exciting thing from a personal point of view that I've worked on, because I suppose I had a lot of years watching the series before I even had my own knitwear brand or anything. I used to absolutely love the show.
And as an absolute 30s, 40s head, right? How authentic does Peaky Blinders look to you from a fashion sense? Or have they modernised it a bit? Have they tried to jazz it up a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But your sweater
Yeah.
is bang on the money, right? It's like that's bang on period.
Well, I've done exactly what I've been asked to do, or tried to anyway.
Did you get asked, we want a sweater by order of the Peaky Blinders? did you get a call like that?
No, strangely not. No.
Arthur's going to come and visit you, pick it up. I can't do a Birmingham accent. I don't know. By order of the... How do they speak in Peaky Blinders?
Oh, God.
I'm not going to do it.
Maddy's not Maddy. How many did you have to make? Because on set, like, people spill spaghetti down themselves, things happen.
Yeah, so for Peaky, I just made one of each. I have made, for some films, I made 2. For one film, I was asked to make 14 or something.
What, of the identical?
Wow. This is not outfits for Oompa Loompas. No. Was it? So you got 14. You got 14 of the same things. What was that for?
Oh, I can't talk about that one, actually, because it's not out yet. So
Secret.
Sworn to secrecy on that one.
But is that, I guess maybe if they got 14, that's like a character that's going to be on screen a lot. There might be some action and stuff. So like you got to be careful looking after it. I mean, imagine if you did like Harry Potter, you know, like the last one where he's wearing different jumpers and stuff. That jumper goes through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I do think that if they're a sort of a main character and they're in the same sweater the whole way through. Yeah.
Sorry, I called it a jumper. Have I used,
No, jumper's fine.
have I used the wrong pronouns?
No, not at all.
No,
No, it's a
sweater.
jumper.
Sweater
Yeah.
jumper. How long does it take you to knit one?
Oh, it really depends what it is. And it depends whether I'm hand knitting it or machine knitting it. It also depends on, have I got a pattern to work from? Some pieces I make, they just show me a photo and I have to make it up from a photo.
And they're going to say, Maddy, you know, this is going to be seen in 4K, right? We might even shoot it in 8K. So every stitch has got to be perfect, right? There's no hiding. You can't do a shonky back. Everything's got to be exactly
well, actually,
right.
I think it seems to be the opposite, actually, that I'm there trying to see my sweater on the screen and it's always in this quite darkly lit room and, honestly, you'd just miss it if you weren't looking for it.
Yeah. But it's those details. Like if they get a detail wrong, even in a background, even in a supporting character, it can take you right out of your suspension of disbelief. So that's so important to do that. Do you go out like looking for patterns, like 30s and 40s patterns? Are you always like digging through charity shops and things like that?
No, well, it's all online these days. So I am always looking at patterns, but I have loads of references, not just vintage patterns. That's probably my first place, because also the knitwear patterns from the 30s are just so creative and inventive. It was a really exciting time for knitwear. So to be able to sort of just have all of those patterns is
that
really
what you'd
exciting.
say? Is this master level knitting? Is it like really, really tricky?
I think the thing with vintage patterns is they're a lot briefer than modern patterns, and they can quite often have bits missing, or you have to make up part of it. And also some of the terms are not the same.
So
and there's also a lot less imagery with them as well. If you get a modern pattern, there'll be a picture of all sides, back, front, all the details. And a vintage pattern, it'll just have the front. And it
says
might be a
just-
backless sweater, but you can't see the back. You've got no idea what.
And he'll
that
say,
looks like.
just make it up, just... I don't know, you know what the style is.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I think because I do sort of get contacted sometimes by less experienced knitters, and they do sort of ask for help, saying I'd really want to knit a vintage pattern, but can you? Do you know one that's quite straightforward that I could follow quite easily? I guess it is quite difficult if you're a beginner, because the tensions are different, the yarns are different.
Do you have to, because I know like you love going and like hunting down yarns and things like that as well. So like there's so much curation that goes into one piece. And even when you think like, oh, that's on screen in the background of a scene, that's incredible. You've got out and found the right yarns, the right pattern.
Oh, the level of detail is amazing. Actually, most of the knitwear that I do for film and TV, the costume designers, most of the time, choose everything. It's their vision. And quite often they'll send me the yarn, they'll send me the buttons, and I will just make it in the size that I always have.
So can you work with any yarn? Is it like, so if one of your customers sends you a whole package that we want you to use this, that is something you can use?
I can. It depends whether I'm machine knitting or hand knitting.
Right.
So my machine is a standard gauge, so that's 3 and 4 ply. If it's chunkier than that, then I have to hand knit it.
Are you like, no, not alpaca? They've sent me alpaca yarn again. It's not period appropriate.
Well, the costume designers are really, really good at what's from the period. It is always accurate. What they send me.
So what wouldn't fit through your machine? Is it a particular type, or is it the way it's been spun?
It's the thickness that
So it's not like alpaca wouldn't go through, or angora or something like that.
If it was fine enough, it would. I mean, alpaca would make a mess in the machine. Or angora would. It would be all little bits of hair stuck in, wouldn't it? So.
What made you get into knitting?
So I've been knitting all my life.
Okay.
When I was little, I was always knitting, always sewing, always making stuff. But I'm kind of from that generation that were doing things like that. Like all my friends were doing it as well. We'd spend we'd spend the weekend around each other's houses and we'd make something together. The sewing machine would be out and we'd spend all weekend sewing.
Like a collab project?
Like a what?
Like a collaborative project?
Oh no! Well, we'd make one each. So she'll make a blue one, I'll make a pink one, or whatever. Like, but we'd go this weekend. We're going to make a waistcoat, or we're going to knit a sweater, or we were always making.
Did you ever think that would turn into a successful career? That passion.
Well, I was always very into art. Went to art college, but I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do at that time. But then I actually ended up going to dance school. So I trained at Northern School of Contemporary Dance. So I left the art to go and do that.
Oh, wow.
And then moved down to London, did some auditions, decided that wasn't for me, the life of a dancer. So then had a series of other jobs. And then in that time, I decided that I wanted to do shoe design. So
well, hang on. This is a big leap, right? So you're like, these ballet shoes are not fit for purpose. I want to become a shoe designer. How did you make this jump to being a shoe designer?
So it's quite a few years in between. So when I was at art college, I was definitely more interested in the sort of print design, ceramics, all those sorts of things, rather than the painting and drawing side of it, which I really enjoyed. But and I always did lots of silk paintings and embroidery, so there was always that side to it. And then I went off to dance school, and that was absolutely amazing. But then I decided that wasn't for me, and I ended up working at a film marketing agency, which is where I met Simon.
Her husband.
Yes.
Who's an extremely creative man as well.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, if you want to get creative envy, you just look at this family.
So I ended up working in film marketing agency. It was obviously a very creative company, but my job in the company wasn't creative at all. And
we're still not any closer to shoes.
Well,
We're getting there now.
We're getting there. I'm impatient. Yeah. So what happened at the film marketing agency?
Well, I've been giving it a lot of thought. What do I want to do? What do I want to get into? And I decided that shoe design was what I wanted to do.
Did you have a window at street level or something? You can see feet going past or something.
Yes,
so one of those Soho places.
Just love shoes, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Do you know what
Did you ever design a shoe?
I did, yes. Well, I worked as a shoe designer for many years. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy? One of my wife's friends is a shoe designer, and what triggered him, or what ignited his passion? The D-Light Groove Isn't a Heart video. And honestly, he's a really famous shoe designer now. But when he was young and he saw the D-Light video and he saw the singer with her boots on, he was like, I want to be a shoe designer.
Brilliant.
Oh, wow.
I love those moments of creative spark. And also, I mean, how lucky are you that you went through all of these creative iterations, to get to where you are now, and you have that revelation, I want to be a shoe designer. How long were you shoe designing for?
I'm not, let's think, probably maybe 6 or 7 years.
Okay. And still knitting in the background?
Well, more dressmaking at that stage, actually. I think when I was a shoe designer, I guess that job is very creatively rewarding. So then I probably do less of the other stuff outside of that. I got really into the vintage style, the vintage look, sort of really loved all the, 40s clothes, 30s clothes. And then I started altering dresses, repairing vintage clothes. And then I discovered the world of vintage dress patterns.
Yeah. When you say you got into the 30s and 40s fashion, where were you exposed to it? How did you see that? Where?
I don't know when that first came about, but even my design project at the end of my shoe design course was based on film noir. It was all 30s shoes, 40s shoes. So I was already really into it at that time, and I think my love of shoes of that period is also what really made me want to go into shoe design.
Do you think you were born in the wrong decade?
I do think that all the time. But obviously, I am a modern girl, and I think I would struggle to live in that period. But at the same time, there's a lot of retro-loving people out there. And I think part of it is the clothes and the style. Maybe a lot of people are sort of craving a bit of a simpler life.
Just looking at you, I can't imagine seeing you with a mobile phone.
No, I am quite. Simon sort of sorts out all my tech, to be honest. Obviously, when I was a shoe designer, I used Illustrator and all those design programs, but don't have to do any of those things with my knitting.
Apart from Etsy, what do you do? Do you send a letter, a quilla letter, and send it to Etsy and say, "Dear Etsy, I have a new design that will be coming out in 1 month's time. I attach an illustration." Was it a rhizo tint of it?
Yeah, because my Instagram is this really happy place, the place of knitters, retro lovers. It's a really, really lovely world, and we all love the same things, but then we're all on this modern technology, liking each other's posts and things. So it's a strange one, but that is how we've all managed to sort of get in touch with each other, which is really nice.
Is it a really strong community?
Oh, it is, yeah, definitely.
So if you got a job coming in and you can do it, then you'll recommend someone else, or imagine if someone said, "Maddy, we need you to knit 500 sweaters, sorry. We need you to knit 500. You could mobilise people to do it.
But they wouldn't be the same as your design.
No, because they're all booked up, They're all booked up for 2 years ahead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they've all got waiting lists.
People all those needles clicking everywhere.
I know, but isn't it just really lovely, slow fashion compared to all this sort of cheap, fast fashion that's going on.
I was talking to someone earlier about this fast fashion and even knitwear, and apparently old knits are lasting a lot better than modern knits, and the way that people are treating them as well, because people used to treat them with a bit of reverence, but then wash them properly, dry them properly, whereas now someone wears it for a season and then might get out next year.
Yeah,
and it's like...
yeah. Well, this thing, some of the things that people make, we sort of say they're sort of things to pass down for generations. They've got embroidery all over them. There've been hours of work crafting these beautiful pieces of clothing, and it's really lovely that there's a place for it there, and the people buying them really appreciate it, and they will, they really see the value in it as well, because there's a lot of people that would go, "How much?"
Yeah, exactly. But this is what you got to think about, because I looked at your Etsy shop earlier on. Do you get it's it's out of my price range. I don't think it fit me anyway. I've got the wrong body shape for it. But I can imagine, some people would be like, "What?" But I think this is what you get with handcraft stuff anyway, like with all art. Wouldn't you tell people the true cost of creating something bespoke, something handmade? Because they're used to fast fashion, thinking, "Well, I could get a jumper sweater for 10."
Jumper's fine.
So I feel like I'm being offensive.
No, not
jumper.
at all.
You can get a jumper.
Jumpers.
Do not diminish my sweaters. You could go and get a sweater for £10 at Primark or something like that. And someone might say, "I'm not paying £245 for this," but it's like, it's been handmade by Maddy from a design that she's she's done. You've gone out and found the buttons. Yeah. This is curated, and also it's by order of the Peaky Blinders.
That's right. So my knowledge of knitting, from what I remember, and I'm a 70s baby, so I remember every time someone had a birth, somebody would knit them a whole set from the booties and from the jumper to the hat. And I that's the bit I remember. And I remember a shop called Pollard's, where they used to have loads of little bits around babies. For some reason, that's coming in to my head. And there was a bespoke shop that sold the wool where I lived in Stratford. Now, I remember that from the 70s and 80s, and it kind of really gone out of fashion. You're the third person I've spoken to in the last 4 weeks that has spoken about knitting.
Oh, really?
And I've spoken to an 18-year-old who's actually taken this on board. Yeah. So it feels like it's coming back a little bit.
I think it is definitely coming back. I remember when I was younger, there was so many yarn shops everywhere. That's right. And, they were busy. My mum knitted, my nana knitted, my friends knitted, and now it's quite an unusual thing to even do it as a hobby.
But I see people knitting on the underground now as well. It's so refreshing to see someone not playing Candy Crush, on their phone or something like that. And actually they're knitting, and they look like they're achieving like some sort of next level mindfulness. Yeah. It's like they look zen, and I love it. But also there's a fury to it. Like they're going quite fast. I think when you're in the zone.
Yeah. I think you have to I mean, it's a slow process, really. If you have to be relatively quick to ever get anything finished, to be honest.
So
It's one stitch at a time.
So I'm guessing the needle knitting came for you before the machine knitting.
Yeah. So the machine is. I've been hand knitting for sort of over 40 years, and machine knitting probably 5 or 6.
Okay, fairly
and
new.
I would say I haven't even scratched the surface of machine knitting compared to my knowledge of hand knitting.
What made you try machine knitting then?
So I decided that I wanted to. So after I discovered the vintage dress patterns, I then discovered vintage knitting patterns, and I've been sort of knitting ever since. So this was around the time just before I stopped working and had children. So my lifestyle's really changed. I'm at home with kids and I'm knitting all the time in the evenings. And I have the idea that I'm going to have my own retro knitwear brand, and that's what I'm going to do. So I get a knitting machine for that, just to try and make it faster. I thought I'd be kind of whizzing them off, as everyone thinks
Like a factory mate.
about machine knitting, and it's not the case at all.
Yeah, just one hand, not even looking at it, just off to the
exactly. I'd have a
side.
pile of sweaters, and off I'd go to my vintage fair to sell them, and that hasn't happened at all. It speeds up some processes, but I guess I'm still doing a lot of things by hand because I love that kind of hand finish, and I suppose they're the techniques that I'm also the most familiar with as well. So there's still a lot of handwork in there, but it is in most cases still a lot faster than hand knitting.
And the machine's retro as well. Yeah, can you get a 30s or 40s machine?
Not that far back. You can get. They had factory machines in the 30s and 40s, but not the sort of at home.
So you don't go
ones.
full purist. You know, some people that go full purist. They've got everything's got to be exactly right.
1980s. That's as
Oh,
retro
wow.
as my knitting machine's gone.
How long does it take you to... I know it's going to vary piece by piece, but I don't know, say there was a 2-year-old's jumper you was making. Is that something now you could whiz out within a day, or does it take you a week, a month?
Is that... Well, it depends if I'm hand
knitting.
Hand knitting, yeah, kids' clothes is relatively quick, actually, because they're just so small. For ladies' wear, machine knits, probably 15 hours upwards, start to finish. But even once you've knitted it, you've still got to sew it all together. Like to me, they're really just the pattern pieces. You've still then got to sew it together, and you sew it together by hand. You don't use a sewing machine.
So your hourly rate, actually, when you think about it, if you look at something on Etsy, the hourly rate is not that much money.
Exactly what I'm trying to think.
My best friend Jim was hand making guitars, and he actually wrote down all the hours it would take, and people would be like, "Oh, I'm not paying £2,500 for a guitar," and he's like, "Mate, I'm still only making £2 an hour or something like that on this."
I know. It's that is the problem, and hand knitting as well. I would say. Short sleeve, maybe 60 hours work. A long sleeve, over 80.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm knitting with fine yarns, and that would be for a pattern stitch, not a plain stitch. But how do you charge for something that took you 80 hours?
Absolutely.
I mean, and also all that experience that that's got you there as well. You're paying for that experience, your eye, your taste, everything like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
But you don't want it just to be for like super rich people.
That's the thing. You're trying to make them accessible. There's a limit to how much I could pay for a sweater. So I'm really aware that, you want it to be affordable. On top of the hours, there's also so many fees that go on. There's PayPal fees, there's Etsy fees. Almost all of my customers are abroad, and they pay huge custom duties, plus shipping. A sweater I might sell at £175. They might pay £240.
Yes.
And on top of that, I've paid fees as well. So maybe there's £80 there that's gone out in fees.
Probably be cheaper to fly there and make it at their house for them. Just to get the yarn, locally source the yarn, bring your own alpaca, comb it down, get the spinning jenny out, make your yarn. Yeah.
It is. It's a bit like, I've got a friend coming to London next month. Can you give it to them? Yes, I will. I'll do that. Just to try and make
so they imagine you're driving there in an open top sports car, giving them a nice package wrapped up with string and brown paper and stuff.
I think given how long they have to wait for their sweaters to be ready, I think everyone knows how much work goes into them.
It's kind of bespoke. Each piece you're making, I would assume, is worth that money, because there's not going to be another piece like that unless you're making it for Peaky Blinders and you're making 5 at the same time. But I'm guessing that people will pay for that actual bespoke bit, because when you break out the time and the money, like 140 quid or even £10 an hour.
You do the maths, Sangeeta. Come on, quick maths.
Right, 14 hours. And
come on, how much is it, Sangeeta? Come on, do the maths.
14 hours.
How much? Yeah, how much? What's the sum?
We just said,
Come
and
on.
then you've got the materials and all the other bits.
And that's thing if you're selling.
So Sangeeta, what's the profit? What's the profit on that?
I can't see how you're making a profit.
No, and the Etsy fees.
So I'm thinking, me, myself, I would never think about buying a jumper for like £200, but it's only now speaking to you. The penny has dropped, because this was something back in the days that people took for granted, and people had nannies knitting sweaters willy-nilly, to the point where we were like, oh no, I don't want to wear a hand-knitted sweater. But actually now it's like very unique.
Oh, this is well interesting, actually, because I think what you're saying, we're losing creativity here, because all those crafts that people used to have of being able to make, do and mend, repairing, making things from scratch, we've lost it. Fast fashion's ruined it.
Yeah, agreed. But and places like, look, you can replace. You go to Primark, you've had a rip in your clothes, like you said, you can go in there, £5, buy another T-shirt. But it's the quality and the knitting. I can knit. And I loved knitting as a kid. I learned it at school. I was in India for 3 years, and they're very, very into arts and crafts.
Oh, fantastic.
So one of the things I had to learn was knitting and crocheting.
Oh, yeah.
And when I came back at 15, I mean, I'm over 50s now, but it wasn't something that I continued. However, when my young person approached me 3 weeks ago with the knitting needles, I was able to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just got back into it. But I couldn't do what you guys do, obviously different stitches, knowing all those names. It's not really my interest, but it's bizarre how this knitting theme keeps coming back into my life. I think I might have to go on Etsy and get one of those jumpers just for the sake of it.
I think so, Sangeeta. I think you should actually, we do this podcast a bit so Sangeeta can explore creativity.
Yes.
And I think you might have unlocked like a little thing here. Ask Maddy about something that I think you could try. I've noticed you do a lot of turbans, right?
Wow.
But they're not like Sikh turbans. These are like 1940s, 1930s, 1940s turbans. And I love your little hat with the pom-pom on the top as well, the beret, sort of the beret thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, these hats are great. How long? So I guess you could start off doing like one of these turbans, right? These 1930s, 1940s. Can you explain it? It's funny. It's a bit of fashion we don't ever have now.
Yeah, so, it was just it was very fashionable in the 40s, this turban look. I thought I'd have a go at knitting some. I absolutely love the style. And I've done one style, but I'm wanting to do some more to add to it.
It's a bit like, is it the poster for breakfast at Tiffany's or something that's got, I don't know, I'm seeing a picture of someone with one of these sort of turbans on their head.
I think like Lana Turner wore one quite famously. She wears a white one.
Georgie's agreeing. Hey, come on, Georgie, come and get in. Come and get in, mate. Georgie, come and get in, mate. Do you know about Lana Turner?
Yeah, I literally, as you said it, I actually completely imagined the image of the lady. It's a famous picture where she's wearing it.
Georgie's going to come and get on the mic. Come on, Georgie. Come on, swap in.
That was my input. That was it.
I love it.
I couldn't help but agree.
Amazing. I've actually got one of those turbans, but not knitted.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've got one of those retro ones.
Is it the sort of thing, sorry for my ignorance, is it the sort of thing some people go and do the Charleston in and stuff, that sort of
But
time?
that's what you would have thought, because that's where we would have seen them. But nowadays, what was brought it
Perhaps
back?
more the Charlestons, perhaps more of a little cloche hat or headband or like a little cap, something like that.
Yeah, with a little feather or something.
Yeah, that's the sort of Charleston era.
But these knitted turbans, it's really interesting. Imagine, we were talking about Crocs earlier, right? Imagine a knitted turban came out and probably everyone's looking at it and thinking, I'm not going to wear one of them. That looks stupid. And then within 2 years, everyone's wearing a knitted turban.
And it's come back in fashion.
It's like a croc.
There's a lot back in fashion. Some knitted, but most of them fabric, aren't they?
Buttons are so important on your sweaters, right?
Yes.
Where'd you go to find your buttons?
So, yeah, I absolutely love, I've got a bit of a weakness for vintage buttons and buckles and trims. Again, find them all online. But the problem is when you're looking for a particular buckle, for a particular sweater, you come across all these other buckles that are amazing.
So you got like buckle acquisition syndrome where you got cupboards full of them?
Yeah, I really have to try and restrain myself because, before you know it, a few little sets of vintage buttons, you've spent like £30 or something. So
I'm just seeing into your future. I think you might become the pearly queen of Leon C with all these buttons.
Well, I think I think of it as my retirement fund when I can resell them all back on Etsy once I don't need them anymore.
So what comes first, the sweater, then the choice of button? Or do you would say, like you just said, you go out, you've got a one choice in mind that you want to get for a particular piece, then all of a sudden you see these other little buttons that you really like. Do you then, does a creative jumper idea pop into your head?
Yeah, it has happened that way. Yeah, I've made a couple of things that are just purely because I've seen a buckle or a trim that's really nice, and then I've sort of thought, right, what can I make with that? Other things I just buy and just wait for one day there'll be something.
Need it.
Yeah.
I love this though. You could just put like a buckle down and suddenly you're visualising. I'm imagining your mind like Inception, like
That's what I'm thinking.
with things weaving like the start of House of the Dragons. All this all weaving around it, and you're like, oh, I can see. Yes, it's emerging from the mist and the yarn. I can see this beautiful jumper, and then you go and make it. 18 hours later, Simon's like, "Are you finished yet?" No, it's like, however long. It's amazing. I like that vision though, to be able to see that and think about like this era appropriate design as well.
Yeah, I think my head's just full of them, really. I've just got notebooks, sketches, folders of pictures, images, just so many things I want to make. There's also just so much inspiration from the period as well. Never short of ideas, or it's just short of time to make them in.
Oh, yeah. I've got to ask you a question about the period, right? I think the 30s and the 40s didn't seem like such a body positive period for like sweaters and things like that. They're all quite narrow waisted and things like that.
Yeah.
So, how do you, can you adapt that for like a modern wearer?
The sweaters were all absolutely tiny, as were the sort of models wearing them. But yeah, we just make them into bigger sizes.
So you can adapt the style and stuff, and you don't need to like be all like corseted up and all that.
No, yeah, we do adapt them. I think it's always quite. You have to be really careful to also keep the style of the sweater. Like once you've kind of got a bit of baggy sleeves and a loose waistline, you haven't got that really trim little 30s style, with the nipped in waist so you do have to sort of be really careful with your proportions when you're altering them. But we make them bigger.
I have one more question. Oh, this is.
I do.
Go on. No, go on.
You go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
No, I insist. Age before beauty.
Shit before the shovel.
Here we go. Fighting talk.
There's no, my question's almost as rubbish as what's your favourite colour?
Oh.
No, but it isn't what's your favourite colour. What's the favourite piece you've ever made?
My Marlena style, which is a sweater with a little bow, which I copied from a photograph of a vintage sweater. And
can you describe the photo for me? Is it from the 30s or the 40s?
It's a 1930s style.
And what are they doing in the photo?
Oh, it's just a photograph of a sweater.
Oh, it's not like some glamorous person getting out of a car or anything like that?
No one's wearing it. It's just a picture of a sweater from 1936, which I absolutely loved. So I made a pattern. It's quite complicated because the sleeves come up in panels. And then, so it's sort of a lot of work to work out the pattern. But it's a really lovely sweater, and it's been very popular.
Like you had to like look at a photo and hack it and work out, I can do it like this and decode it all.
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, really.
Yeah. Knitting's a bit like computer programming, isn't it?
It's a jigsaw piece together.
Exactly, yeah. Just knowing all your loops.
A lot of calculations, and there's calculators out.
Really?
Yeah.
So I got two questions on the basis of that. Have you ever made a piece where you thought, oh, this is so good, I can't sell it?
This one's for Maddy, yeah.
Well, I often think if it doesn't sell, I'll happily have that. But
Okay.
I always sort of put it up for sale because I could always make myself another one. That's fine.
So if I came to you and I said, right, Maddy, I want a sweater done. Say I was living in Japan and I found you. How does that work? I send you my measurements by inches. I measure myself and then you go with that, I guess.
Yeah.
And do you ever have to make, say there's alterations, is that like people send things back, you have to undo things? Like, how does that work? Or is it...
You can't undo it, really, once it's made. I do spend quite a lot of time talking to the customer about sizes. I try and get them to measure a sweater that they like the fit of. I think getting the fit right is incredibly difficult. And if you're not that familiar with measuring yourself or knitwear, it can be difficult. But at the end of it, they've given you their measurements. They give me their body measurements and I'll send them the measurements I'm actually going to make the sweater.
Right.
And I'll try and give as much information, like it's got lots of stretch in this, or it doesn't have much stretch, or it,
God, I didn't even think about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, the only time I wear a sweater is like a Christmas sweater, and they are not very flattering. And they're very, very tight around the tummy. And yeah, it's not a good look. Maybe we need to work on different stitching around the gut area to
Baggy sweaters.
yeah, a little bit more
Stretchy.
baggy, yeah. Tight around the biceps, show the guns off, and then a bit loose around the gut. That'd be nice. I'll send you my measurements.
Yeah, I'll see what I can
I want a
do.
1930s
Yeah.
Christmas sweater. They probably didn't exist, did they?
Oh my God, they did.
They don't.
Yeah?
I was gonna say.
They're so popular. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, especially in the 40s, actually. But the 40s Christmas jumper is quite a thing. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, I went to Timberline Lodge, which is the building that they use for the exterior of The Shining, near Portland on Mount Hood.
Oh, really?
And the whole place is full of retro photos, and this is where like presidents used to go, and the glitz and the glamour of the 40s.
Oh, wow.
And I layer some serious jumpers on those.
Oh, wow.
Did
With
they?
the knits, yeah, exactly, yeah, because that's like exactly like the skiing time when everyone had those cool jumpers on. So yeah, you need to go there and have a look because that is like retro heaven.
That
You'll
sounds
love it.
amazing. I would love it.
Yeah. Well, look, we're going to wrap up. I love
amazing.
it. Sangeeta, what an amazing guest.
What an amazing guest, yes.
And I love it that it's like unlocking your knitting.
100%. I've just thought of my young person and I'm going to take, like once I've got your details, I'm going to send it over so that she can have a look and be inspired and actually know that, you know what, this could become a career.
Sangeeta, you're going to knit me a turban for next time?
No, but I know someone who can.
Actually, do you know what? A beret. I do like hats because I'm bald. I need to have some expression on the top of my head. So I think one of these berets with a pom-pom on would be very nice for me.
I think that would really suit you.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of the cap.
It'd be beautiful. I'm going to ditch the baseball caps and go for a beret with a pom-pom.
100%.
So, thank you very much to Maddy, our guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Sangeeta. Always amazing. Hanging out. Always super lols. Thank you very much to City Sound Studio here and Paul, who letting us use their fantastic facilities. Thank you very much to NGDA crew in the house. We got Georgie.
Yo, yo, yo.
We got Jaden, the rag reinforcer.
Big up.
And thank you, Nick.
That was a really short one, actually. Normally he does them all and big. Just
All right, let me
Let's go again.
no. We'll go. Thank you to Jaden, the rag.
You've got it.
I lost my flow. Thank you to Jaden, the rag reinforcer.
Big up yourself.
Yeah, man.
And thank you, Nick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, always a pleasure. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And our Instagram is
You.
r.u.creative.podcast. It's okay, Sangeeta. We don't need to do it again. I just did it. And now we're just going to wrap up and say, God, I've really cocked this up. It's because my phone's run out of batteries. I haven't got my scripts.